Hello, my name's Roisin and welcome back to my channel. When you're watching this, it should be 2022, but right now we are still in December, in that liminal period between Christmas and New Year, and we have come up to Cumbria. Get a bit further back, there we go. We've come up to Cumbria to visit my boyfriend's family.
It was really foggy on the way up, so we had a bit of a hairy drive across the Pennines.
That's what this vlog is going to be. It's going to just be reading and walking in the Lake District up in the north of England. We come here fairly regularly, so I have a few other vlogs here. I'll leave them in the cards above. But yeah, for the most part we're just going to be reading and walking and relaxing. We don't really have any sort of organised plans, but I will take you along for some walks and talk to you about what I'm reading. So just a cosy little reading vlog. At the moment I have just started Open Water by Caleb Azuma Nelson, which I have been meaning to read all year. My fringe is not behaving today, is it? There we go. I've been meaning to read all year, so I'm about a quarter of the way through that at the moment, but I left it downstairs so I can't hold it up to show you. But anyway, yeah, I'm enjoying it so far. It's a little more commercial than I was expecting, I think. The second person is really well done. Like, it doesn't seem to interfere or be like noticeable at all. You don't pay attention to it the whole time, which is good, because I think gimmicks like that can sometimes come across as gimmicky rather than working with the material, but I think that it is working. The writing is at some moments beautiful, at some moments trying just a little too hard, but I'm only just beginning, and I think the characters are well developed, or at least the main character currently is well developed. I would like to see some more development of the other characters around him. But yeah, so that's what I'm doing. We're about to go out for a walk, although it is raining, so we're going to wrap up warm and get out for a walk at Lanercost Priory. So I will show you that when we get there. And yeah, I hope that this vlog will be nice and cozy, and I will see you again very soon. Morning. So it is the morning, it's just very dark because we're up north and it's dark up north. Anyway, so it is the next day. So yesterday we went to, there's a dog here, there he is. we went to Lanercost Priory for that walk, like I told you, and then after that we came back, we had lunch, we read, and then we went to the pub, and they had live music on, and it was a lot busier than I was comfortable with. Like, this is what it looked like. In where the music was. So I sat like further out, somewhere where it was less busy, read for a bit, and then just came home whilst my partner and the family, they all stayed up there. But it was just too busy for me. So I came back home. I just don't feel comfortable with that yet. Like, I'm usually a person who loves a busy atmosphere, but COVID stuff, even though I've had COVID now, I still don't feel like comfortable with that busy a place. This morning I read half of Tiny Moons by Nina Minier's pals last night while I was at the pub, because it was the ebook that I could get hold of whilst I was there, because I didn't take a book with me. and I'm halfway through Open Water now, but I think I'm going to finish both of those before I like tell you my thoughts and feelings about them. Today is really grey, really overcast, forecast is for lots of rain, so I don't know if we'll be getting out or what we'll be doing, but yeah. Good boy. Yeah, downward dog. Hello, I look a bit rough. I think it's because my eye, the redness where I had my eye, where I must have my eyes going yellow, so that's a recovering bruise, but it makes me look jaundiced. So I look a bit rough. But anyway, it is our final full day here up in Cumbria. So we went on that walk yesterday, then just came home and had dinner and like watched TV and read. So nothing really exciting happened after that, but I have finished 3 books. So I finished Tiny Moons, A Year of Eating in Shanghai by Nina Minya's Powell's. Nina Minya's Powell's. So I finished that and I enjoyed it. It certainly made me very hungry. It made me buy Pippa Middlehurst's next book, Broth and Bowls. Though perhaps I should probably be buying for an actual Chinese person, but I have her dumplings and noodles book as well, so I want to get into making dumplings and noodles. That's my New Year's resolution since reading Tiny Moons, so it definitely had an effect on me in that way. However, apart from that, I felt it was kind of surface level. Like, it was very much just about the food, which is great, but I would have liked more about like the culture and about more personal things put into it. Like, it was about what she was eating and her going around and eating, and that could have been a really lovely essay. And although this was of course a really short book, I felt like it was too long for that, and if it was going to be this long then we needed more, like, her talk about it, because I felt like it was sold to me as being about this half Malaysian Chinese woman who grew up in New Zealand, moved back to Shanghai. She lived there as a teenager, moved back there for her university, and her experience with the culture, with learning the language again, and the connection between the food and her family. And I felt like that was very like glanced across rather than actually deeply delved into. So I feel like either it needed to be shorter or it needed to be more in depth. So it was lovely and really charmingly written, but I don't think the balance was quite right for me. Then, where is this book? I keep not having this book near me when I want to talk about it. There it is. I also finished Open Water by Caleb Azuma Nelson, and I did enjoy this. Some of it A lot of it's really beautifully written. I think he writes poetry. It feels like he writes poetry from the way that he's written the book. But again, I felt like this either needed to be a short story or more in-depth, because he talks about, it's about this relationship between these two people, but it's also about what it's like growing up as a black man in London, South East London specifically. I did enjoy like all the references to the places near where I live. Like, he's from about 10 minutes away from me, so all of the places where I'm from, where I grew up, so all of the places that he mentions I knew, because that's like where I grew up as well. I enjoyed that aspect of it. Reading a book from where I am from is always enjoyable, because yeah, I mean, he even mentions Gypsy Hill in here, which is like my train station. So yeah, it's very much a book about where I'm from, but it's also about being a black man in South East London and that experience. But I felt like those two halves weren't really integrated well. They were kind of slightly disconnected from one another. I also thought it was interesting that he talks about, from the beginning and throughout, about the rhythms of South East London and how he can tell that the girl that he meets is from South East London by the way she talks. But the entire book is not written like it's from South East London. Like, there are a few words that are used that feel like it's from there, but the rest of the words entirely aren't. And I don't know if that's to make it more accessible to people who don't know the language, who don't know the like slang or the way of speaking from South East London, or if it's to do with the fact that he talks about having gone to private school, been privately educated because he got a scholarship, and maybe that's why it's not like authentic to his voice and he doesn't feel like using that voice, perhaps. But because there was so much mention of the rhythms and the language of South East London, I would have liked if there was more of that rhythms and language included in the book. The first 2/3 is really about this relationship, and then the last third is about being a black man in South East London, and there are some ways it weaves together, but I felt like it could have been more tightly connected. I also think, for it being 140 pages, like, if this had, it's a really good character study of the man, the unnamed you in the story, but for 140 pages I would have liked more development, particularly of the love interest. I felt like she was almost manic pixie dream girl in a way, and I would have liked more like development of her as a character. She was very much an idea for him and a place for him to try and work with his vulnerabilities and seeing if he could manage that with his understanding of masculinity and etc, etc. It was interesting, but the thing is that I think that Nelson is the writer who could do what I would have liked to be in this book. He's a very good writer, and I feel like there was some sparkle, some hints of really great novel in here, and instead it's just a good novel. It's not a bad novel, it's a very good novel, but it could have gone further, and I think that Caleb Azuma Nelson, I want to read what he writes next, because I feel like he could do that, but he didn't quite go the full way in this book. So yeah. And then I also finished Still Life by Sarah Winman, and I really, really enjoyed this book. It's really the perfect balance of saccharine and, well, it's not saccharine, that's what I mean. It's the perfect balance of sort of darkness and light. It's very much true to life, and it's warm and about family and found family, but it does it without being overly sweet, overly saccharine. The writing is just lovely. It's very, very charming, about art and love. It's very queer. Probably one of the queerest books I've read this year, and I've read quite a few, and I enjoyed that aspect of it, like historical fiction with queer love stories that aren't tragic. I really enjoyed that. And yeah, it's just so warm and so lovely, and it really does make you want to move to Florence. Desperately makes you want to move to Florence. So I really enjoyed it. I thought that the writing was so well balanced that it felt like a early 20th century novel, but obviously with all this open queerness, which is not what you read in early 20th century novels. And I thought that it really captured the time period well, and like I've said before in many videos, I really enjoy a book where the setting feels very real. I don't want my characters to just be in their heads, I feel like, and sometimes, like for example in No One Is Talking About This, the setting of the internet in the beginning felt real enough that it didn't matter that the internet is intangible. So it doesn't necessarily have to be tangible, but the tangibility of Florence, the food, the weather, the art, it all felt so well done. But yeah, I really enjoyed this book. I think I maybe would have liked it more had I read it all together. I feel like I maybe spread it out too much, and that made it lose some of its power, because when I was first listening to it I was like, oh, I'm in love with this book, and I kind of lost a bit of that, and I don't know if that's the book or if that's the way that I listened to it, and I would have needed to listen to it all together to really love it, because I feel like something's missing in my feelings towards it, but there's nothing I can say that's bad about the book for me to explain why I feel that way. That's just how I feel. So yeah, I finished 3 books. I've now read 142 books this year, and it is the 30th of December, so we've got 36 hours left, basically, of the year. I'm like, well, I definitely can't read 8 books before the end of the year. I definitely can't make it to 150. Could I read 3? That's what I'm kind of thinking to myself. I am currently in the middle of 3 books, but one of them is the Christmas Chronicles, which I want to read as it goes, or kind of as close to as it goes, and it finishes on Candlemas, which is the 2nd of February, so I don't want to rush ahead and finish all of that before the end of the year. So I'm definitely not going to finish that one. So maybe I could finish Earthed, a memoir, which I'm halfway through, Matrix by Lauren Groff, which I'm also probably halfway through, and then find another short one, and maybe we can make it to 145. Maybe I won't push myself, I mean, I am on holiday, but I don't know, maybe. I've finished 3 books in the last 2 days, so possible. Hello, so our time in Cumbria has come to a close. We are heading back home now, but we've got one detour to make for Kieran from Katie Books, and then we'll be home, and I will talk to you about all of the reading that I finished. It is New Year's Eve today, the last day of 2021. Fingers crossed and touch wood that 2022 improves, but who knows at this point? Is anyone still making resolutions? So yes, going to make a detour, go home, and we'll do a little December wrap-up, because I don't think I've really done a wrap-up this month. Hello Kieran's Book Club! Hello Kieran's Book Club! Hello Kieran's Book Club! My name is Roisin, and this is Hadrian's Wall. So this was our detour, and this has got caught in my hair. So this was our detour to Hadrian's Wall. It looks very cool. So we are back now from Cumbria, back in my office, ooh, as you can see, and I thought I would do a little quick December wrap up. I think I mentioned this earlier in the vlog, because I haven't done it anywhere else. I'm not planning to do it anywhere else, so I'm going to do a December wrap up, but I'm going to do it as quickly as possible, because in December I read 17 books, which is far more books than I normally read, so if I went into my usual detail, we would be here forever. 10 of those books I did read for the Goodreads Choice Awards when I was reading the historical fiction shortlist, which I will leave linked in the cards above if you want to go and see my in-depth thoughts and feelings about these books. But for now, I'm just going to give you like a 3-word review, 1-word review, try and do as few words as possible. 5 words, let's go with 5 words. Hour of the Witch, atmospheric, early modern, creepy dark. The Four Winds by Kristen Hanna. Workers' History, No Black People. Yellow Wife by Sadiqa Jones. We have, this one is underdeveloped characters but interesting plot. Then we have The Paris Library by Janet Skesley Charles, romanticising Paris and the war. Malibu Rising by Taylor Jenkins Reid. Fun beach read, not deep. We have The Rose Code by Kate Quinn. Surprisingly fun, jolly hockey sticks. Okay, and what were the other ones that I read for that? The Lost Apothecary. No research done, very predictable. Then I also read The Lincoln Highway by Amor Towles. Kind of depressing but charming. What were the other ones I read? Where have I put my phone? There. The Personal Librarian by Marie Benedict and Victoria Christopher Murray. Spunky woman, can do anything. The Dictionary of Lost Words by Pip Williams. Period drama, easy feminism, pregnancy. And that was it. That was all of them. those are my 5-word reviews. I suppose I'll just say as well, Malibu Rising 2.5 stars, Rose Code 3.5 stars, Personal Librarian 1.5 stars, Dictionary of Lost Words 3.5 stars, Lost Apothecary 1 star, Paris Library 1 star, Yellow Wife 2.5 stars, Lincoln Highway 3.5 stars, Hour of the Witch 4 stars, Four Winds 3 stars. So there you go. Those are my reviews and my ratings. Hopefully that is helpful. I also listened to the audiobook of The Spanish Love Deception by Eleanor Aramis because I just wanted something easy to read. I think this was right at the beginning of when I was in self-isolation. Vlog linked to the cards if you are interested. Terrible, really bad. This is why I very rarely read romance, because I feel like I need to find a specific author and then I can read their books as comfort reads, but most of romance is too terrible for me to read. This was quite long, needed serious editing. Every single time the male and female, the main characters are described, his bigness compared to her tininess is emphasised over and over and over again. We spent all this time trying to get to this wedding. It's like a fake dating situation where he clearly fancies her but she's completely dense. We spent all this time going to this wedding that they were supposed to go to, and then the wedding is just not in the book at all, which felt like an anticlimax. Rubbish, really, really badly written. Then I also tried to finish Cunning Women, which I started back in October, but I DNF'd it. This is about a family who are on the outskirts of a village in the early 17th century in England, and they do charms and heal things, and then the girl falls in love with the son of a farmer. Insta love, the characters have no development, the writing's not great, so I DNF'd it. Then I also read The Manning Tree Witches by A.K. Blakemore, and I thought the writing of this was stunning and beautiful. This is also about witches in the 17th century in England, although this is specifically during the English Civil War. I thought the time period was really well evoked. I really thought all the characters felt like very real people. However, something was missing for me, and I don't know what it was, and I don't know if it's because I read half of it and then started again. But yeah, I really did enjoy it, and I don't know why it wasn't perfect for me, and I'm trying to still figure that one out. Then I read Tiny Moons by Nina Minya Powell, which I talked about in this video, so I won't go into that one. And I also read Open Water by Caleb Azuma Nelson, which is in this video, and Still Life, which is in this video. But I also finished Matrix by Lauren Groff, and I kind of enjoyed this. I enjoyed the way that it was written very modern, despite the fact it was set in the medieval period, but it didn't jar. Our main character has this kind of mystical thing about her, like as in a religious mystic rather than fantasy or anything, like seeing visions and stuff, and I thought that the modern way it was written kind of worked well with that. I did find the pacing a bit off. It jumped about quite a lot, and I felt that that was a bit strangely done, and I felt some of the relationships were a bit weird, but I really enjoyed the descriptions of what she was doing with the monastery, not the monastery, the nunnery. I thought it was really well done. What I did hate, however, was the audiobook was narrated by Adjua Ando, and I've enjoyed some of the things she narrates, but she definitely has an annoying reading voice, and she kind of comes across as like a whiny teenager a lot of the time when she's reading the things, and I felt like it jarred completely with both the historical setting and the character. It didn't feel very true to it, and she has this thing where she goes up kind of and then down, like she goes rising down over and over again, so the tone was very repetitive and I found it really annoying, which is not the book's fault, but I didn't have any other way to access it. I tried to see if it was available at my library in physical copy or if I could get the ebook somehow, and I couldn't, so I just had to keep listening to the audiobook. And then I also finished Earth by Rebecca Schiller. I found this like a slog to get through the first time, and then as with many of these books I put it down and picked it up again from the beginning, and I found it much more readable when I was reading it in a condensed period of time than when I was reading it over a longer period, because there's a lot of repetition in here and a lot of like really serious like depression and stuff, which is hard to read. This is about a woman who has got a small holding of 2 acres in the countryside, and she's also dealing with something is wrong, and she gets a diagnosis towards the end of the book. And yeah, I did enjoy it. I thought that the descriptions were quite good, and she also talks about like the history of the women on the land and stuff, and I felt like sometimes that got a bit away from itself, and also very like, I understand talking about your privilege and talking about things, but it felt kind of performative and look how good I am rather than really integrated into the text, so that kind of annoyed me a as well. So there you go. That is the speediest wrap up I've ever done. It's taken me 8 minutes to wrap up 17 books, which is far faster than I normally do it. But I hope that it was still enough to whet your appetite about some of those books, or know whether you want to read them or not. Thank you for watching this vlog, and Happy New Year. It's 2022 now. I'm making no resolutions or goals for this year. That's my, so far anyway, that's how I'm feeling about it. I am not starting the new year with a full bundle of hope and optimism and gung-ho-ness. I am trying to be a bit more gentle to myself, because the last 2 years have been, well, they've been the last 2 years, so that's where I'm at right now. I will see you again very soon. Thank you for watching. We are back to Thursdays and Sundays, so please remember to like this video if you liked it, and to subscribe if you aren't already. I will see you again very soon. Thank you for watching. Bye bye!